I stood in my garage workshop in Portland, staring at the shattered pieces of walnut wood scattered across the concrete floor like broken promises, and I knew that Thanksgiving would never be the same again. The rocking chair my late wife Sarah had spent 3 months building for our future grandchild lay in splinters at my feet. Not broken by accident, not damaged by time, destroyed deliberately by the woman my son claimed to love. But I'm getting ahead of myself. It started 6 weeks earlier when my son Michael called me on a Tuesday evening. I was in the workshop, running my hand over the smooth armrest of that rocking chair, remembering how Sarah's fingers had shaped every curve, how her laugh had filled this space while she worked. 3 years since the cancer took her, and some days the silence still felt like a physical weight. "Dad, I wanted to give you a heads up." Michael's voice sounded careful, measured. "I'm bringing someone to Thanksgiving this year." "Someone?" I set down the photograph of Sarah I'd been holding. "Her name's Amber. We've been seeing each other for about 4 months now. She's great with Tyler, and I think it's time you met her." My grandson Tyler was 7, a quiet kid still processing his mother's abandonment 2 years ago. Michael had sole custody, working double shifts to make ends meet while I helped with childcare. The thought of someone new in their lives made me cautious. 4 months is pretty serious, I said. "I know it's fast, Dad, but she makes me happy. She makes Tyler happy. That's what matters, right?" I wanted to say that Tyler's happiness mattered, that Michael's judgment when it came to women had been questionable since his ex-wife left. But Sarah's voice echoed in my memory. "Pick your battles, Thomas. Trust your son to make his own choices." "I'm looking forward to meeting her," I lied. The weeks leading up to Thanksgiving, I noticed changes. Michael stopped coming by after work to pick up Tyler. Instead, Amber would arrive in her white Mercedes SUV, barely glancing at the house before honking for Tyler to come out. She never came to the door, never said hello. Just that imperious honk, like she was picking up dry cleaning. The Tuesday before Thanksgiving, Tyler was at my house doing homework at the kitchen table while I prepped pie crusts. He was quieter than usual, pushing his math workbook around without writing anything. "Everything okay, buddy?" I asked. He shrugged. "Amber says, Grandma Sarah's chair takes up too much space in my room." My hands stilled in the flour. That rocking chair had been Sarah's final project. Started when we learned Michael's ex-wife was pregnant. She'd selected each piece of wood personally, joking that our grandchild deserved furniture that would last generations. She'd never finished it. The cancer progressed too quickly. After she died, I'd spent 6 months completing it exactly as she'd planned, following her detailed sketches. It sat in Tyler's room, a bridge between him and the grandmother he barely remembered. "Takes up space?" I kept my voice level. "It's in the corner by the window. She says the room needs to be more modern. She wants to redecorate it with all white furniture." Tyler's small voice carried something that sounded like defeat. "Dad says I should be grateful someone cares enough to want to fix up my room." I sat down across from him. "Tyler, do you want your room redecorated?" He met my eyes, and I saw Sarah in his face. The same stubborn set of the jaw, the same unwillingness to burden others with his feelings. "I like Grandma's chair," he whispered. "Then it stays," I said firmly. "That chair is yours. No one gets to decide what happens to it except you." Thanksgiving morning arrived with the kind of crisp November weather Portland does best. I'd been cooking since 5 a.m., preparing all of Sarah's traditional recipes. Turkey with her secret herb rub, cornbread stuffing with sage from the garden she'd planted, sweet potato casserole with the praline topping she'd perfected over 30 years of Thanksgivings. Cooking her recipes kept her close, made the empty house feel less hollow. Michael arrived at 2 p.m., Tyler running ahead to help me in the kitchen, like always. But this time, he wasn't alone. Amber stepped out of the Mercedes in 4-inch heels and a white pantsuit that screamed expensive. She looked around my modest craftsman-style home with the kind of expression people reserve for budget motels. "Dad, this is Amber Chen," Michael said, his arm around her waist. "Amber, my father, Thomas Brennan." She extended a hand without smiling. "Michael talks about you constantly. It's nice to finally visit." "Visit, not meet you, not be here. Visit. like she was touring a historical site she had no intention of returning to. "Welcome," I said, shaking her hand. Her grip was limp, dismissive. "Dinner's almost ready. Make yourself at home." She glanced around the living room, taking in Sarah's quilts on the couch, the family photos covering the mantel, the slightly worn furniture we'd bought together 40 years ago. "Charming," she said in a tone that meant the opposite. "Very rustic." Michael didn't seem to notice the insult. He was already heading to the kitchen, following the scents of his childhood. Tyler had disappeared toward his room, probably seeking refuge. I followed Amber's gaze as she examined my home like an appraiser. She paused at a photo of Sarah and me on our 30th anniversary, taken just months before her diagnosis. "Your late wife?" she asked. "Sarah." "Yes." Michael mentioned she was crafty. Made furniture or something? Crafty. Like Sarah's 30-year career as a master woodworker was a hobby. Like the custom pieces she'd built for clients across the Pacific Northwest were Pinterest projects. "She was a furniture maker," I corrected. "One of the best in Portland." Amber moved on to examine the built-in bookshelves Sarah had constructed for this room, running a finger along the edge without recognition of the craftsmanship. "Michael says you're still holding on to a lot of her things." The way she said it made things sound like junk, like clutter, like obstacles to be cleared. "I'm holding on to my wife's memory," I said quietly. "And her legacy." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Of course. Grief takes time. Though Michael worries you're isolating yourself out here. This house is quite large for one person." There it was. Not even an hour in my home, and she was already cataloging my life for deficiencies. "I manage fine," I said. "I'm sure you do." She settled on the couch, careful not to disturb the quilt. "But at your age, wouldn't a senior community make more sense? Less maintenance? More social opportunities? Michael mentioned your retirement savings are quite healthy." My retirement savings. Information I'd shared with Michael during a conversation about his own financial planning, never imagining it would be passed along like gossip. "Dad!" Tyler's voice called from down the hall. "Can you help me with something?" I excused myself and found Tyler in his bedroom, standing next to Sarah's rocking chair. He'd placed his favorite stuffed bear in it, the one Sarah had given him when he was born. "Amber wants to see my room," he said. "I wanted to make sure you saw the chair first." Smart kid. He knew something was coming. I heard heels clicking down the hallway. Amber appeared in the doorway, Michael behind her. She looked around Tyler's room with that same appraising expression, her gaze stopping on the rocking chair. "This must be the famous chair," she said. "Michael told me about it." "My grandmother made it for me," Tyler said softly. Amber walked over, running her hand along the armrest in a gesture that felt possessive rather than appreciative. "It's well made. Solid walnut, if I'm not mistaken. Pre-finished with that vintage style. Probably worth quite a bit to the right collector." "It's not for sale," I said. She laughed lightly. "Oh, I wasn't suggesting selling it, though vintage handmade furniture is having quite a moment right now. I have a friend who runs an upscale consignment shop in the Pearl District. She's always looking for quality pieces." "Amber's starting her own interior design business," Michael said proudly. "She's got a great eye." "I do appreciate fine craftsmanship," Amber said, still touching the chair. "But Tyler's room needs cohesion. This piece, while valuable, doesn't fit the aesthetic I'm planning. All white modern furniture, clean lines, nothing cluttered. It'll photograph beautifully for my portfolio." "Portfolio?" I asked. "I'm using Tyler's room as my first project, a before and after showcase for my website. Child's room transformation will be perfect for attracting family clients." She was talking about my grandson's bedroom like it was a business opportunity. Like Tyler's comfort and connection to his grandmother didn't matter. "Tyler likes his room the way it is," I said. "Children don't always know what's best for them," Amber replied smoothly. "They need guidance from adults who can see the bigger picture. This chair, for instance, it's taking up valuable space that could be used for a modern reading nook. And honestly, keeping furniture from a dead person in a child's room is a bit morbid, don't you think?" Michael flinched. Tyler's face went white. "That's enough," I said, my voice hard. "I'm just being practical, Thomas. You can't expect a 7-year-old to dictate design choices. And frankly, this whole house is like a museum to your wife. It's not healthy. Michael agrees with me. I looked at my son. Michael? He shifted uncomfortably. Amber just thinks that maybe it's time to move forward. For everyone, the chair could be stored somewhere safe, and Tyler could have a room that's more age-appropriate. His grandmother made him that chair, I said. It stays in his room. End of discussion. Amber's smile tightened. We'll discuss it later. Let's not ruin Thanksgiving with family drama. She swept out of the room, heels clicking. Michael gave me an apologetic look, but followed her. Tyler climbed into my lap in the rocking chair, and we sat there in silence, the way Sarah and I used to sit with him when he was a baby. Dinner was tense. I'd set the table with Sarah's good china, the set we'd received as a wedding gift. Amber made a comment about how dated the pattern was. Michael laughed nervously and changed the subject. As I carved the turkey, Amber peppered me with questions about the house. How many bedrooms? 4. Bathrooms? 2.5. Lot size? 1/4 acre. And the neighborhood's appreciated quite a bit, hasn't it? Michael mentioned these craftsman homes in this area are selling for $700,000 or more. I set down the carving knife. Why are you asking? Just curious. It seems like a lot of house for one person, and the maintenance alone must be exhausting at your age. The roof looks like it needs replacing soon. That's at least $20,000 right there. The roof is fine. For now, she said. But these older homes, they're money pits. One thing after another. My parents went through the same thing before they downsized to a condo. Best decision they ever made. So much less stress. Michael cleared his throat. Amber's just concerned about you, Dad. We both are. I'm 63, not 90. I can maintain my own home. Of course you can, Amber said sweetly. But should you have to? When you could sell, take the profit, and find a nice senior apartment, you'd have money left over to enjoy your retirement. Travel, join clubs, meet people your own age. I like my life the way it is. Do you? She leaned forward. Because Michael says you barely leave the house except for Tyler. You spend all your time in that workshop, building things no one needs. That's not living, Thomas. That's existing. Amber, Michael said quietly. I'm trying to help, she insisted. Your father is isolated and lonely, holding on to a past that's gone. The kindest thing we can do is help him move forward. By selling my home? I asked. By freeing you from the burden of it. This house is full of painful memories. Every room probably reminds you of Sarah. Wouldn't it be easier to start fresh somewhere new? I thought of Sarah's garden, now dormant for winter but ready to bloom again in spring. I thought of the bedroom we'd shared, where I still slept on my side of the bed. I thought of the workshop where her presence felt most real, where I could close my eyes and hear her humming while she worked. This house is full of beautiful memories, I said. I'm not selling. Amber sat back, her smile cooling. Well, it's your decision, of course. For now. We ate in uncomfortable silence. Tyler pushed food around his plate. Michael kept trying to start cheerful conversations that died immediately. Amber checked her phone repeatedly, texting someone. After dinner, while Michael and Tyler were clearing plates, Amber followed me to the kitchen. I think we got off on the wrong foot, she said. I really do want what's best for this family. This family was doing fine before you arrived. Were you? Michael's drowning in debt, working himself to exhaustion. Tyler barely has a mother figure. You're isolated in this big house, refusing to move on. Does that sound fine to you? Michael's debt is his business. It's my business now, too. We're planning a future together. His financial problems affect both of us. Do you know he's $70,000 in credit card debt? Medical bills from when Tyler's mother left? Legal fees for the custody battle. And he's too proud to ask for help. $70,000. Michael had never mentioned the extent of it. If you cared about your son, Amber continued, you'd want to help him. This house is sitting on massive equity. You could sell, downsize, and give Michael enough to get out from under that debt. Set him up properly. Set Tyler up. Instead, you're hoarding space and money you don't need while they struggle. Michael never asked me for money, because he's too good of a man to ask his father to sacrifice. But I'm not. I love him enough to be practical. This house, the furniture Sarah made, those are assets gathering dust. Meanwhile, Tyler needs new clothes. Michael needs his car repaired. And we can't even think about giving Tyler siblings because of the financial pressure. She was good. I had to give her that. She'd found the weak points and pushed. You want me to sell my house and give Michael the money, I said. I want you to invest in your family's future. Imagine what $70,000 would mean to Michael. Freedom from stress, security for Tyler, the ability to build a real life. All you have to do is let go of the past. And where would I live? There are lovely senior communities in the area. Some of my design clients have parents in them. You'd have your own apartment, no maintenance, planned activities, and you'd still see Tyler regularly. Everyone wins. Except I lose my home. You lose a house full of ghosts, she corrected, and gain peace of mind knowing you helped your son when he needed it most. Isn't that what parents do? I looked at this woman in my kitchen, using my love for my son as leverage to get what she wanted. And suddenly, I understood. You're not starting a design business, I said. You're already in debt yourself. Her smile froze. That's why you know so much about Michael's finances. You're looking for a way out of your own hole, and you see this family as your escape route. The room redesign, the furniture appraisals, the questions about the house value. You're not planning a future with Michael. You're planning an exit strategy with his money. That's ridiculous. Is it? Because I've been watching you all day, and you haven't looked at my son with love once. You've looked at him like an investment, like a solution to a problem. You don't know anything about me. I know you're trying to manipulate me into selling my home. I know you're treating my grandson's bedroom like a business asset. I know you called Sarah's life work crafty and my grief unhealthy. That tells me everything I need to know. Her expression hardened. Fine. You want honesty? Yes, I have business debts. Yes, I see opportunity in helping Michael get his financial life in order. That doesn't make me a bad person. It makes me realistic. Love doesn't pay bills, Thomas. Love doesn't fix credit scores. Money does. Then find someone else's money. Michael deserves better than working himself to death for pennies. Tyler deserves better than hand-me-down furniture from a dead woman. And you, whether you want to admit it or not, deserve better than rotting in this mausoleum pretending your wife is still here. Get out of my house. Excuse me? You heard me. Get out. She laughed. You can't throw me out. Michael invited me. And I'm uninviting you. Leave. Now. Michael appeared in the doorway. Dad, what's going on? Your girlfriend is leaving, I said. Thomas is being unreasonable, Amber said quickly. I simply suggested he might be happier in a senior community, and he took offense. You suggested I sell my house to pay your debts, I corrected. Michael looked between us, confused. What debts? She didn't tell you? I asked. About her business debts? About why she's so interested in furniture, appraisals, and house values? Amber's face flushed. That's private. Not when you're using my son to solve your problems. Dad, maybe we should all calm down, Michael said. Have some pie. Talk this through. There's nothing to talk through. She wants me to sell my home and give you the money to cover her debts. She's using Tyler's room as a business portfolio and treating Sarah's memory like an inconvenience. I want her out. That's not what's happening, Amber insisted. Michael, he's twisting everything. I was trying to help. By calling my mother's furniture morbid? Michael's voice was quiet. By saying Dad's grief is unhealthy? She faltered. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? I meant that holding on to the past so tightly isn't good for anyone. Your mother is gone. This house is too big for one person. These are facts. I was trying to present practical solutions. Without asking what I wanted, I said. Without considering Tyler's feelings. Without even pretending to care about Sarah's memory. You walked into my home and started planning how to liquidate it. You're being dramatic. Am I? I turned to Michael. Did you tell her my retirement savings amount? He had the grace to look ashamed. We were talking about financial planning. She asked about your situation in case we needed to factor in elder care down the road. Elder care, I repeated. I'm 63. It's never too early to plan, Amber said. My grandmother went into a home at 65. And you thought you'd speed up my timeline by convincing me to sell now? She threw her hands up. This is impossible. I'm trying to help this family, and all I get is hostility. Michael, are you going to stand there and let your father talk to me like this? Michael was staring at her like he was seeing her for the first time. How much debt are you in? That's not relevant. How much, Amber? She pressed her lips together. About 90,000. Business startup costs, some personal loans. But I have a plan to pay it back once my design business takes off. Using Tyler's room as your portfolio piece, Michael said slowly. Were you planning to ask permission, or just redecorate and present it as a fait accompli? I was going to surprise you both. Tyler would have loved it. Tyler loves his room the way it is, I said. He loves his grandmother's chair. The only person who has a problem with it is you. Because it's valuable! The words burst out of her. That chair is worth at least $8,000 to the right collector, maybe more, and it's just sitting in a child's room getting scratched and worn. It's a waste. The kitchen went silent. You wanted to sell it, Michael said. I wanted to make smart financial decisions, Amber corrected. That chair could cover 2 months of your credit card payments. The other furniture your mother made, scattered around this house, could probably clear most of your debt. But instead, it just sits here collecting dust while you work double shifts and stress about money. Where's the sense in that? It's my mother's legacy, Michael said quietly. It's wood and nails. She's dead. The living matter more than the dead. I saw the moment Michael's face changed. The moment he finally understood what I'd seen from the beginning. I think you should leave, he said. Michael, now, please. Amber looked at him, then at me. Her expression shifted from pleading to cold. Fine, but you're making a huge mistake, both of you. You could have financial security, a fresh start, a real future. Instead, you're choosing to wallow in the past and struggle in the present. Don't come crying to me when reality catches up with you. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. I heard her heels clicking through the house, heard the front door slam, heard the Mercedes engine roar to life. Michael sank into a chair at the kitchen table, head in his hands. I'm sorry, Dad. I had no idea she was like that. 4 months isn't very long to know someone, I said gently. She was so good with Tyler at first. Or I thought she was. But now I realize she was never actually spending time with him. She was always measuring his room, taking photos, making notes. I thought she was just enthusiastic about interior design. She was enthusiastic about money. He nodded. I told her about my debt during a weak moment. I thought she'd understand, maybe even help me budget better. Instead, she saw it as leverage. Tyler crept into the kitchen, his bear clutched to his chest. Is Amber gone? Yeah, buddy. She's gone. Good. I didn't like her. He climbed into my lap. She smelled wrong. Michael and I both laughed, the tension breaking. Out of the mouths of babes, I said. We had pie in the living room, the 3 of us on the couch under Sarah's quilts. Tyler fell asleep between us, and Michael and I talked quietly about everything. His debt, his struggles, his fear of asking for help. I never wanted to burden you, he said. You've already given me so much. Raising me, helping with Tyler, just being here. I couldn't ask for money too. You didn't have to ask. If I'd known how bad it was, I would have helped. That's exactly why I didn't tell you. Because you would have helped, and I needed to handle it myself. Be a man. Be a father. Not run to my dad every time things got hard. Being a man means knowing when to ask for help, I said. And being a father means protecting your family from people who would use them, which you did today. With your help, that's what fathers are for. I did help Michael financially, not by selling the house, but by giving him a loan from my retirement savings at 0 interest, with flexible repayment terms. We drew up proper paperwork, made it official, but family. He paid off his credit cards, got his car fixed, and bought Tyler new clothes for school. In return, Michael helped me finally sort through some of Sarah's things. Not to sell them or get rid of them, but to organize them properly. We photographed every piece of furniture she'd made, creating a digital archive. We donated some of her tools to a local woodworking school for women. We kept the rocking chair in Tyler's room, where it belonged. The workshop stayed mine. I still spent hours there, now teaching Tyler the basics of woodworking the way Sarah had once taught me. He made a small stool for his room, sanded and finished it himself, glowing with pride. 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Amber. "I hope you're happy." Michael blocked me. "I'm going to lose my business because no one will give me a chance. You've ruined everything." I almost didn't respond. Then I thought of Sarah, who always believed in honest communication, even when it was hard. "I didn't ruin anything," I texted back. "You did that yourself when you tried to use my family. I hope you find the help you need, but you won't find it here." She didn't respond. I blocked the number. That Christmas, we started new traditions. Michael and Tyler came over on Christmas Eve, and we made a ceremony of placing Tyler's bear in Sarah's rocking chair. Tyler would climb in, and Michael would read "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," the same way Sarah had read it to Michael when he was small. I could feel her there in those moments, not in the furniture or the house or the things she'd made with her hands, but in the love that had shaped our family, the values she'd taught us, the strength she'd given us to stand firm when it mattered. One evening in late January, I was in the workshop finishing a small jewelry box when Tyler wandered in after school. He watched me work for a while, then asked, "Grandpa, why did Amber want to sell Grandma's chair?" I set down my tools and pulled up a stool next to him. "Some people think valuable things are only worth what they can be sold for," I said. "They don't understand that some things are priceless because of what they represent. Love, memory, connection. Those things can't be measured in money." "Is that why you didn't sell the house?" "Partly, but mostly because this is home. Not because of the building, but because of the life your grandmother and I built here. The memories we made, and now, the memories I'm making with you and your dad." "I'm glad you didn't sell," Tyler said. He climbed into my lap, something he was getting almost too big to do. "I like it here. It smells like Grandma's chair." "What does that smell like?" He thought about it. "Like love, and wood, and home." I held him close, breathing in his kid smell of shampoo and playground dirt, and thought about how Sarah would have loved this moment. Would have loved seeing her grandson safe and secure, growing up surrounded by the things she'd made, the values she'd cherished. Later that night, after Michael picked up Tyler, I stood in the workshop and ran my hand over the surface of a table Sarah had built 20 years ago. The wood was smooth, perfectly joined, a testament to her skill and patience. I thought about Amber's words, about how I was hoarding assets and living in the past. I thought about the price that rocking chair might fetch from a collector, the equity in the house, the monetary value of everything Sarah had created. And then I thought about Tyler's face when he sat in that chair. Michael's relief when I'd offered to help without judgment. The quiet peace I felt in this workshop, surrounded by Sarah's tools and her presence. Some things can't be bought or sold. Some things are worth more than money could ever measure. And some battles, as Sarah used to say, are worth fighting. I picked up my sandpaper and got back to work. The jewelry box was for Tyler's 8th birthday, a place to keep his special things safe. I'd line it with felt, add brass hinges, and on the lid, I'd burn in the same pattern Sarah had used on the rocking chair. A chain of hearts, linked forever. Because that's what family is. Not furniture or houses or bank accounts, but hearts linked together, generation after generation, holding firm when the world tries to tear us apart. And that's worth everything.